Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so nice to see so many of you joining. Good morning and welcome to our first information session for the SayAMR Language Hackathon. My name is Oluwatoyin Akinola and I'm the AMR Program Manager at Drasa Health Trust. As you may know, if you've seen and read a bit about the hackathon already, it's a collaboration between the NCDC, Drasa Health Trust, CCAPS, which is Center for Infection Control and Patient Safety, and also CVCNU, Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities. All right, so I'll just quickly share a bit about the information session. So we launched the hackathon on the 10th of October, and the whole point of this information session is basically just to share a bit more about the hackathon and be able to answer any questions you may have. So I'd love to just believe that you guys are already working on forming your teams and just thinking through the whole process, but it's okay if you haven't yet, there's still some time, and we'll, in this session, just explain a bit more about the process, eligibility, and you'll be able to ask any questions that you may have. So we're here to answer your questions, and the recording will be up. We'll upload this either to our YouTube or to our website. So thank you so much, everyone, and I will actually just check. I know we have Dr. Tochi Okwo from NCDC. Thank you so much for joining, Ma. I wanted to check if you would like to say anything before we continue.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Ma, you can.
Okay, just to welcome everybody and thank you for joining. And to say how excited I personally am and how also as the National Coordinating Mechanism NCDC for antimicrobial resistance, we are looking forward to the outcome of this hackathon. We want to get a common language, a way we say antimicrobial resistance, whether it's a phrase, a word. As I sit here, I don't know what it will come out with in Pidgin, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo language. But I'm particularly proud that it will be in our time that we will come up with a new language, a new word. So I encourage everybody to really follow the instructions strictly because a very, very, very strict process. If you look at the collaborators, the Committee of Vice Chancellors is huge. NCDC is a huge organization, DRASA. So it's really a national effort and we want everything properly documented. So I thank DRASA and all our collaborators and really following up on this. And I encourage everybody to take it seriously. And let's see how this wraps up in the end. Thank you. Over to you, Oluwatoyin.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Zainab, who will take us through the hackathon overview. Over to you, Zainab.
Good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to the SayAMR Language Hackathon information session. We're very excited to have you here. We hope that you're as excited to learn more about the hackathon as we are to have you here. So I'll just begin by going, oops, just 1 second. Oh, yeah. So I'll just begin by taking you through an overview of the hackathon. So the eligibility criteria, the submission criteria, and just basically everything you need to know about the hackathon. So let's get started. So the SayAMR Hackathon, Language Hackathon, is a youth-led national competition that invites university students from across Nigeria to create local translations and culturally relevant terms for antimicrobial resistance in Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin, and Yoruba. So our goal is to foster collaboration and bridge the gap between scientific language and everyday communication. So because we believe that when people can say it, they can understand it, and when they can understand it, then they can act on it personally. So we believe that language shapes how we think, how we communicate, how we behave, and with Nigeria having over 500 languages or more, you know, as much as that makes us that gives us that uniqueness and richness. It can create communication barriers, especially when it comes to public health. So if key messages like AMR, for instance, are more expressed in a way that people feel familiar with and culturally grounded in, then we believe that the message can reach the people that need it the most. So through the SayAMR Language Hackathon, we aim to develop standardized AMR terminology, like I said, in the 4 major languages, so Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin, and Yoruba. We want youth to be heavily involved in the process of AMR, especially when it comes to awareness and just driving the movement. So we want to inspire youth-driven innovation in public health communication, hence the hackathon. We want to promote greater awareness and inclusion across communities so that they can, if they can speak it, then they can understand, they can act on it. We want to create a model for how we can name and describe other health phenomena in local languages nationwide. So ultimately, we just want to make AMR more understandable, relatable, and actionable in every Nigerian home. So I will just take you through how the hackathon would unfold. So the overview of the process. So the whole process, I think it's about an 18 to 20-week process in total. So starting with the call for application, which already happened on the 10th of October, 2025. And this is basically an 8-week process, inviting teams from universities across Nigeria to submit their entries. This 8-week process, you would prepare and submit your proposed translations through our online portal. I'm hoping that we've all familiarized ourselves to some extent with our online portal. So we encourage that your entries are not only linguistically accurate, but also culturally grounded and easy to understand. So the step 2 is now the eligibility screening. This is going to be a 2-week process. So after submission closes, your entries will go through an eligibility screening phase, which will last for 2 weeks. Here, your submissions will be checked to ensure that they meet the stated eligibility criteria, which I'll go through in a few slides. So just to reiterate that only complete and qualifying entries will move forward from this stage. So please ensure that your entries are complete and that they meet all the stated eligibility criteria, right? Then we move on to the initial review, which after the eligibility screening, we'll move on to the 1-week initial review process. And here, all your eligible entries are anonymously reviewed by multiple experts. Each entry will be scored independently, and those scoring 70 and above will then advance to the next stage. So in this stage, 40 submissions in total will move on to the next stage. So we have 10 per language. So that's it for that stage. Then after that stage, we then move on to the Delphi process. So this is a 4-week process. In the Delphi process, sorry, can we mute that person? Yeah, great. So in the Delphi process, we would have part of the process, we aim to form an advisory team. So here in the Delphi process, the advisory team made up of language experts, health experts will review the shortlisted entries over the 4 weeks. So they'll use the opportunity to refine, narrow down the entries through structured feedback and consensus process to identify the top 5 per language, making it total per language to move on from this stage. And then we move on to, so let me just go to the next, So after that process, the 20 finalists would then move on to the community pilot stage, which will be a 1-week stage. So this is basically a very exciting phase. So this is where you bring the process to the people. So your the shortlisted teams would engage their communities through public voting and social media campaign. So this stage will test how relatable and understandable the proposed terms are to everyday Nigerians. So your teams, the teams gaining the highest community support will then advance to the next stage. So here we aim to advance 8 teams, so 2 per language. And then after this stage, we move on to the debate. Again, this is another 1-week process, and this would be a virtual debate stage. So the 8 shortlisted candidates will present and defend their proposed terminologies before a panel of judges, and the judges will assess clarity, cultural depth, and linguistic strength of each of the terms. And here would be where they will select one winning team per language, right? And then after this stage, we then move on to the final stage, which is basically another 1-week process. And this is the final review and refinement. So yes, at the stage before this, we would have selected one winning team per language. So here, the language experts will use this opportunity to refine the winning terminologies to ensure that linguistics accuracy, cultural relevance, and alignment with our overall goal reflects in these submissions, in the winning terminologies. And yeah, after that, we will then have a national unveiling, and this will basically be a 1-day national event where we will unveil and present the accepted AMR terminologies across the 4 languages through an official launch. So this would be it will feature an award ceremony to recognize, those who have been involved in the process, and then the winning teams as well. So yeah, so that is it for the overview of the process. So we'll then move on to the eligibility criteria, which I've mentioned a lot of times. I'm sure we're all wondering, what is this eligibility criteria? So yeah, so now we'll move on to the eligibility criteria. So the first thing for us is that we have an age requirement. So all students and participants must be between the ages of 18 and 35 years of age. And then I think I've mentioned this multiple times already. We want the teams the team composition to be 4 to 8 multidisciplinary undergraduate and postgraduate students, at least 25 linguistics majors. So if, for instance, if you have 8 people in a team, we want at least two people to be of linguistic majors from an accredited university with at least 1 faculty advisor, right? And then we also want faculty endorsement. So teams must be endorsed by the vice chancellor or the vice chancellor's delegated authority of your universities. Then we want translation submission. We want the teams must submit translation in at least 1 of 4 of the approved languages specified by the organizing committee. And then academic affiliation. So both students and faculty participants must belong to the same university department or linguistic program, basically. So that is it for the eligibility criteria. There will be opportunities to ask questions in case you have some burning questions at this point. So yeah, that's it for the eligibility criteria. Then we move on to the submission criteria. So now that we've covered the eligibility requirements, I'll then walk you through what you need to submit before submitting your final entries. So we want you to have at the back of your mind, right, that the language hackathon is not just about translating the term or AMR directly to a language. It's about research, collaboration, and community engagement, right? So we want to ensure that all proposed terminologies are well informed and community tested. So each team must complete 3 stages, before submitting. So that is research, consultation, community pilots, right? So I'll take you through each of the steps. So we have the first step, which is research. So to kick up your ideation process, we want all teams to conduct research to deepen their understanding of antimicrobial resistance. So what it is, how it spreads, why it matters, all of that. So we want you to do that research. Then we want teams to explore how AMR and other similar scientific terms have been translated or localized in other global languages. For instance, HIV has been translated in the different languages. So, want you to do research and basically see how that came about. So that should be part of your preparation process. So we believe that this will basically help you to inform creation of meaningful culturally grounded terms in the local languages. So we want that by the end of this stage, you should have developed a set of possible phrases or terms that could be tested in the later phases, which I'll go through. So a brief overview of research findings must be documented and included in the final submission. So this should summarize what the team has learned, what you've all learned about AMR, what's basically inspired your translation, and just the thought process behind how you came up with those terminologies, right? Then we move on to the next step, which is consultation. So each team will need to engage a range of experts and community voices to refine your ideas. So these consultations must include peers and lecturers within their universities. So consulting them, AMR subject matter experts, consulting them as well, linguistics and translation specialists, community leaders, and other individuals who you feel can provide insight into the terminologies. So the goal here is basically just to basically test within the communities your proposed terminology, not within the communities, to test your proposed terminologies with those experts to ensure linguistically it's accurate, culturally it's accurate, and scientifically it makes sense as well that it's accurate. So teams are expected to document these consultations with audio, video, and pictorial evidence as part of their submission package. So we want to see proof that you've actually done this. So it's not just saying you've done it, but provide us audio, video, pictorial evidence that you've done it. So so that's it for the community consultation, basically. And then we move on to the final submission criteria, which is community pilot. I think I've already touched on this to some extent. So for me, I think this is a very, very exciteful and impactful stage. So the community pilot stage. So after you've refined your terminologies through your expert consultations, you need to then take your proposed terms into the community to test how people would perceive, understand, and connect with them. So this pilot should involve native speakers of, your target languages, everyday people in everyday settings. So your local butchers, your markets, the market women, the farmers, basically everyone that you think could connect with the world, basically. So think of, places of worship, think of schools, town halls, just think about it, and also conduct pre and post tests to ensure you measure understanding. So before exposure to the terminologies and then after exposure to the terminology as well, right? So the aim of this stage is basically to see how well your terminologies resonate with the public and make any adjustments as needed, using the feedback you get from the community. So again, remember, you must provide audio, video, and pictorial evidence of your community testing as part of the final submission package, right? And one more thing for us. So we acknowledge that Nigeria has a lot of languages, but also a lot of dialects within those languages. So Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, they may be different, different dialects. So we want you to focus on the most widely spoken dialect for each language. So for instance, now, we have in Igbo, we have the Igbo Izugbe dialect, which is the widely accepted dialect in the Igbo language. So we want you to, put that in mind or bear that in mind as you form your terminologies, right? Okay, so we would then move on to the submission requirements. So the submission requirements, Each team or final submissions from each team must include the following. So your proof of enrollment in a linguistic course within an accredited university. So this is for the 25% of the linguistic majors that will make up your team. Proof of faculty, endorsement from Vice Chancellor or the VC's delegated authority, national IDs, from each of the team members, brief overview of AMR research, that desk review. Remember, I've already iterated why that is important. Written record of your understanding of AMR, video, audio, pictorial, written records of consultative sessions, including a database with the contact of the people that you've consulted. So we're talking name, designation, organization, phone number, email of all the people that you consulted, right? What else? Audio, video, audio, pictorial records of the community pilots for each language submission. And then a short video explaining the developed terminologies for each language submission with clearly stated sentences in the languages of choice. So, sorry, just a second. So yeah, so that is it for the submission requirements. Again, if you have any burning questions at this stage, we will give you opportunities to ask your questions. So moving on to the next session, which is the judging criteria. So now we'll look at how your submissions will be judged. So each entry will be evaluated using these 5 key criteria. So we're talking cultural relevance, accuracy, memorability, simplicity, public acceptance. So for cultural relevance, your term should reflect the local culture and sound natural in that native, to the native speaker. In terms of memorability, it should be catchy, easy to pronounce, and simple enough for people to remember and repeat. For public acceptance, judges will look at how well your terms were received during your community testing phase, how people understood and respond to it, right? So again, this is where the pre and post test before and after exposure, comes to play. Accuracy, the meaning must stay true to the science of AMR. Creativity is very welcome, but accuracy is really non-negotiable for us. It needs to stay true to the science of antimicrobial resistance. Simplicity. So just want you to put at the back of your mind that the best terms are often short, clear, and easy for everyone to understand, from students to community leaders to those at the grassroots level, right? For each of these, sorry, okay. So each of these areas will contribute to the overall scores. So aim for your term to be culturally grounded, memorable, accurate, and easy to use. So I want you to put that in mind as you go through your ideation process. Yeah, so moving on to the next, which is just giving you a glimpse of what the timeline looks like for us, and you should put in mind as well. So again, like I said previously, the competition officially began on the 10th of October, and the final call for application is the 5th of December. So ensure that you go through all the processes that I've said between that time. So prepare doing your research, all of that between the 10th and the 5th. And then eligibility screening would be from the 8th of December to the 20th of December. Then initial review will be from the 12th of January to the 18th. Delphi process from the 19th of January to the 8th of February. Community pilot from the 9th to 15th of February 2026. The debate from the 16th to the 22nd of February 2026. The final review and refinement from the 23rd to the 1st of March 2026. And then midterm, the national unveiling would be the mid of March. Well, we aim for that to be the mid of March 2026. Yeah, so let's see. So yeah, that is it for the process. I hope this is clear. Again, you'd have opportunities for your questions. Just note them down. Yeah, thank you so much. And I will now pass pass it back to my colleague, Chiamaka, who will take us through the next steps. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Zainab. I believe the session has been very interesting for all of us. Like my colleague said, there'll be room for questions. So we'll be going through the next steps for this hackathon. So for the next steps, please, can you move to the next slide, please? So yeah, I believe we're seeing a QR code on our screen and then a website. So you can scan the QR code to get every detail you need for this hackathon, or you can visit the link to the site. Everything you need is there. So for the step one, it's just for you to check your eligibility. Zainab has actually mentioned all that. Then you prepare your submission. When you've gathered all the documents you need, prepare your submission, and then you can complete your application. Everything you need is on the website. You can access it by scanning the QR code or visiting that site on our screen. Thank you. I believe it's time for our questions. So please, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself at this point and then speak. But if you're in a noisy background, please, you can use the chat box. Your questions will be attended to. Thank you. Okay, Prince, I see your hand is up. You can unmute and speak.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Prince. I'm from the NIMSA Directorate of Antimicrobial Resistance. So I wanted to get a clarification on something I heard earlier in the session. You asked that we submit a written document on our understanding of antimicrobial resistance. Is this different from our AMR research, the AMR research that we're asked to do? Are we to submit our AMR research data as well as our written document on understanding AMR? So I wanted to get a clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay, I think I can come in here. Just confirm that you can hear me. So yes, so let me just go to the part of the slide that says that. Oops, sorry. Yeah, so based on your question, that would all go under like research. So we want you to submit, apart from your research, we want you to write what you understand, or as part of your research, sorry, we want you to write what you understand, about AMR, why you think it's important, all of that. So I will say that both of that goes hand in hand. So your submission on your AMR research would cover that, if that makes sense. I hope that's like, if it's not, just let me know.
All right, thank you very much. I understand.
Okay, thank you. Please, we encourage you to ask your questions. I understand that, we've said a lot, like it's a lot, but I think it's very important to hear what your thoughts are, and any other questions that you may have on this. I see that obviously there are people that are just joining us. If you have any questions as you're just joining, please let us know, and yeah, we will be happy to go through that for you. I think my explanation was just too detailed, so people don't really have questions. Love that.
I agree. Thank you and well done, Zainab. We can hang on a bit longer in case there's anything else. Maybe you're still thinking or typing.
Hello, I have a second question, if I can.
Yes, please.
All right. Is there a limit to how many things an organization can take part in? For example, the Directorate of Antimicrobial Resistance is across the 91 medical universities in Nigeria. So I wanted to know if under the same organization, a team from maybe Maiduguri can apply under Yoruba, and that team can apply under Igbo and so forth. I don't know if that's possible.
Okay, just to be sure, you're asking whether in one university you can apply for multiple languages. So same team or different teams?
Different teams.
Yes, this is possible. All that's required is you just make sure that you meet the eligibility criteria, you submit all that is required, you get the necessary endorsement from your VC or someone that your VC has delegated, and you make it clear that you are you're submitting for the particular language that you're submitting for.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so my colleague has dropped an attendance link in the chat. Please kindly fill that out. It's very short, very quick, just for us to track that you joined this and for us to stay in touch with any updates if we need to. Thank you.
And just to say as well, if you don't have any questions at this point in time, please, if any questions pop up for you later, feel free to send us an email. I think, I didn't include the email here, but I would drop the email on the chat box. Chiamaka, please, can you drop the email on the chat box so that in case they have any questions, they can send us an email. Thank you.
Okay, I see a question from Blessing that I want to ask a question about the academic affiliation under eligibility criteria. It was written that participants must belong to the same university department or linguistics program. I need more clarity on this. Must they be from the same faculty or department, or can they be from various departments, the percentage given to linguistic students? Okay, so you mustn't be from the same program, from the same course. So we mentioned in the eligibility criteria that a multidisciplinary, it's multidisciplinary. So 4 to 8 student participants, and also to have a faculty member. But for linguistics, we require 25% of your group size to be from a linguistics department, right? I hope that's clearer. So for example, if you decide to have 8 team members, not all of them have to be from the linguistics department in your university, but 25% must be. So 25% of 8, for example, you would have two of the team members of 8 being in the linguistics department, but the others you can be from public health, you can be from an unrelated discipline to health. The whole point is that you get to understand more about AMR as you do the application, as you work together in the team, and it fosters collaboration. So you may end up meeting people from other disciplines that you didn't even know and learning more from them, and they can learn from you as well. I hope that's clear.
Tony, sorry, I was thinking maybe you can touch on why it's important for linguistics majors to be part of the team, okay, just to give people more clarity.
Yes, okay, definitely. Thank you for that. So it's very important because sometimes we forget that there is a lot that goes into languages, right? So there's a lot of thinking and a lot of skill that linguistic students have learned and are learning from their course. There are different nuances to how a language is formed, how it's understood as well. So as much as we want the technicalities of the term that you're translating to Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin, Yoruba, we want it to be understood by the people that will be using the language and will be hearing the language. So linguistic students have a lot to offer because they have that background and that understanding of how languages are understood and how they are developed as well. Okay, there's a second question from Adamu Walid. Considering the diversity of dialects and cultural nuances within each language, how does the SayAMR Hackathon plan to ensure that the AMR terminologies developed are both linguistically accurate and culturally acceptable for nationwide adoption? Okay, great question. I think my answer just now may answer part of that. So the fact that you have linguistics teams as part of your linguistic students as part of your team ensures that you're making sure that it's linguistically accurate. The fact that there'll be consultations as well with experts, that's you're required to show evidence that you've interacted with experts, linguistics experts, public health experts, that ensures that it is accurate. And then also for cultural acceptability, the fact that it will be tested with a community pilot, which Zainab has put on the screen again, that is also how we'll make sure that it's culturally acceptable.
And sorry, just to come in as well, I think you mentioned something about dialect. I think if you read the note below here, we said that we acknowledge that obviously there are multiple dialects within, the selected languages, and that you ensure that your terminology is focused on the most widely spoken dialect in each language. So I want everyone to bear that in mind as you basically choose your terminologies. That we would only accept terminologies from the widely most accepted dialects, basically. I hope that me and Tony have both answered your question. If not, please feel free to ask again. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Okay, so there's another question that says, the endorsement that was stated to be collected from our Vice Chancellor, can we collect it from maybe Dean or any other? Just to mention again, I'm sure you can, in case you missed it, so CVCNU, the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, is part of the organizers of this hackathon. So there will be information that has gotten to them and that gets to them about this hackathon and the importance of it. So they will know, your vice chancellors will know that this exists. So when you do approach them, trusting that they have received the information from us, they'll be able to do this, or they will endorse someone. So they're delegating authority to the required person for you to get this. And that endorsement must show, that delegation must show in the letter that you provide, the endorsement proof that you provide. Okay. And I see another message. So thank you. That was from Habiba. Kingsley says, can NYSC members submit applications as part of the CDS project? Such a great question. So at the moment, this is open to students. So if you're doing NYSC, of course, you've already graduated. I would say right now, no, unfortunately, it's not open for NYSC members. Thank you for asking, because that shows there's interest. So we'll just note that for future. And if we realize that anything can change, we will inform you. But at the moment, no. The eligibility criteria is just for students from accredited universities, of course, with the inclusion of faculty members.
I see a question.
Okay, I see someone said they joined. Yeah. Okay, you joined late. Can we summarize the outline of the meeting? Okay.
I think I would just let you know that this is being recorded and it would be embedded on our website or YouTube. So I would encourage you to, once it's updated, to go back and watch the recording, and you'll be able to get all the details. And just to let you all know as well that everything I've said here is on our webpage, which is, let me just go there so that you can scan. Yeah, so it's on our webpage, and all the information that you could possibly need is on there. So please feel free to go through our website as well. you will get a lot of information from there. So sorry, Adamu, that we cannot, or who was it? Sorry, Alade, that we cannot go through the summary again, but the video recording will be available for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zainab. So any more questions before we wrap up?
Please don't forget to fill our registration form, or is on the chat box for you. Our attendance form, sorry, please, it's on the chat box for you. Thank you. Chiamaka, do you want to take them through the next session? And yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Zainab. So, in case you kickstart your process or you're not able to, you have any hitch along the line, we're having our second information session on 11th of November. Same time, 11 to 12, and same link. So yes, please, let's make use of that session very well. Thank you. You can invite your colleagues, anybody at all, to join. Thank you.
And I think that it will also be a good time for you and your team. So if you formed, we're going to assume that you would have formed your teams by then. It'll be a good opportunity for you and your teams to join and ask more questions. So yeah, just please join us for the next session. But if you have any questions before the next session, please send us an email. Chiamaka has dropped the email on the chat box. And yeah, or our social media, please follow us on social media as well. Just follow our dresser, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, basically all the social media, and we will keep you updated as we go. And just to let you know as well that through the entire process, let me just go back again. Sorry. Oops. Okay. So through this entire process, we will, try as much as possible to keep you updated on our website and our social media as well. We have another question actually on the chat. It says, good morning. Is this application only for linguistics students or graduates of linguistics? So sorry, just to get your question. So are you asking if graduates of linguistics can join as well? Omotayo, please, can you just clarify? Are you asking if graduates of linguistics can join as well? If that is what you're asking, this competition is only open to current university students, so undergraduates and postgraduates. So if you're, graduate linguistics students. So by graduates, if you mean postgraduates, then yes.
Also, just to mention, I don't know if I understand her question very well. Is the application only for It's not only for linguistic students. It's just that we need your team. We need a linguistic student in your team. So if the person is still an undergraduate or a postgraduate student of linguistics, so the person can join your team. There must be a linguistic student in your team. I think 80%, right? That means if you put a team of 8, and then 80% should be 2 linguistic students in your team.
25%.
Okay, sorry, 25%, sorry. That means we need 2 linguistic students in your team, not only linguistic students. Thank you.
So I don't know if we have any more questions or if we can give you back 10 minutes of your time. I know that Adi, 10 minutes of your time. Tony, over to you to just wrap up if there are no more questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Zainab. Thank you, Chiamaka, and thank you everyone for joining and for engaging. Thank you for your questions. I see most of you have filled the attendance form, but if you haven't, please check the chat and make sure you fill it before you leave. Just to say, actually, as you leave, please let us know what university you are currently in and what course as well, if you are studying at the moment. But yeah, thank you everyone and have a lovely rest of your day. We look forward to your applications.
I think there's a comment from Emmanuel. Please, all the persons in my team are undergraduates and we have 2 linguistic students with 4 medical students. Yes, Emmanuel, this works.
Yeah, that's great.
Please just drop in the chat before you go what university you're from and what course as well. This would just, we're very excited. So we're very excited to see how many people are showing interest. So we just want to know where you're from and what course you're studying. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you. I see someone saying they're having problems filling the attendance. Can you just clarify what problem you're having exactly? Yeah. So if it's saying the site can be reached, it's definitely a network issue. You can copy the link and try filling it later with another device or just try again when the network allows. Okay. I think we'll just give it a few more minutes for those who are still trying to type their universities to do before we end the meeting. Thank you all so much for joining. We're very excited. I'm sure you can see it on our faces. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.